The story revolves around a wealthy and influential couple, Mark and Lily Randall. Mark is a successful businessman and billionaire, while Lily, his charming young wife, is known in social circles for her beauty and philanthropic activities. However, beneath the facade of their luxurious life, secrets and tension simmer within their marriage. Mark unexpectedly suffers a severe heart attack and ends up in the ICU. Lily arrives at the hospital as doctors fight to stabilize his condition. Her demeanor is outwardly concerned, but the medical staff senses a hint of detachment in her reactions. After a few hours, as Mark's condition stabilizes, Lily suddenly leaves the hospital, stating that she has urgent matters to attend to at home and promising to return later. Meanwhile, Mark's condition takes a sudden turn for the worse, and he slips into a coma. Lily is still absent, raising suspicions among the medical staff, who note the strange timing of her departure during a critical moment. The doctors notify the police about Lily's unusual behavior, prompting authorities to take a closer look at the situation. When officers arrive at Lily's luxurious estate, what they discover shocks them and adds a sinister twist to the unfolding drama. As they search the mansion, they find a series of unsettling clues that point to something far more nefarious than a grieving wife attending to household affairs. In one of the bedrooms, the police stumble upon a hidden safe that has been left ajar. Inside, there are large sums of cash, legal documents, and what appears to be a freshly prepared set of fake passports for Lily under a different name. It becomes clear that Lily was planning an escape, but the real question remains. Escape from what? Continuing their search, the police venture down into the basement, where they uncover something even more disturbing. Hidden behind a locked door is a room filled with surveillance equipment, including cameras that had been installed in various parts of the house. Reviewing the footage reveals troubling recordings showing Mark and Lily arguing frequently, with some of the arguments escalating into physical altercations. The recordings also depict Lily administering what seems to be medication to Mark without his knowledge, raising the possibility that she may have been poisoning him over time. As the investigation deepens, the police uncover evidence that Lily had been in contact with a man named Vincent Hall, a former business associate of Mark's who had a motive to harm him. Text messages and emails exchanged between Lily and Vincent suggest a romantic relationship and plans to take over Mark's wealth once he was out of the picture. The more the police delve into Lily's past, the more skeletons they find in her closet. It turns out that Lily was not who she claimed to be. Her real name was Alina Novak, and she had a history of deception, including a prior marriage that ended under suspicious circumstances. In that case, her then-husband had also fallen gravely ill and died suddenly, leaving Lily with a substantial inheritance. The pattern now seemed eerily similar. As the evidence mounts against her, Lily's carefully constructed world starts to crumble. The police decide to confront her with the findings, only to discover that she has vanished without a trace. It becomes a race against time to locate her before she can flee the country. Authorities believe she might be using one of the fake passports found in the safe to make her escape. The search for Lily leads investigators across multiple countries, as she uses her charm, connections, and considerable resources to stay one step ahead. However, a mistake in Lily's plan eventually becomes her downfall. She is spotted in a remote part of Europe, where she had been living under an assumed identity. Interpol captures her, and she is extradited back to face charges. The trial is a media spectacle, with sensational details about the couple's private life and Lily's dark past being revealed. As the prosecution lays out its case, it becomes apparent that Lily's relationship with Vincent was not just about love or lust. It was a calculated move to gain control over Mark's vast fortune. Testimonies from former friends, doctors, and even staff members paint a picture of a manipulative woman who stopped at nothing to get what she wanted. During the trial, Lily maintains her innocence, claiming that the evidence was circumstantial and that she had no reason to harm Mark. She argues that the surveillance footage was taken out of context, and the medications found were prescribed for Mark's chronic health conditions. However, the prosecution presents forensic analysis showing traces of toxic substances in Mark's blood that could not have come from his prescribed medication. Ultimately, Lily is found guilty of attempted murder, conspiracy, and fraud. The judge sentences her to a lengthy prison term, and the story of her fall from grace becomes a cautionary tale about greed, deceit, and the pursuit of power. Mark, despite surviving his initial health scare, remains in a coma. His future is uncertain, but his family takes solace in knowing that those responsible for his condition have been brought to justice. After Lily's conviction, it seemed the story had reached its logical conclusion. However, behind bars, she didn't give up trying to prove her innocence and continued to draw attention to her case. Her lawyers filed an appeal, arguing that the evidence was fabricated, and Lily's guilt was prejudiced by the media and court's perception of her image. Meanwhile, Mark's condition remained critical. He never regained consciousness after falling into a coma, and doctors doubted his chances of full recovery. Mark's family faced the difficult decision of whether to continue life support or let him go peacefully. They decided to give him every possible chance and kept him on life support, hoping for a miracle. As Lily's legal team prepared for the appeal, they delved deeper into Mark's business dealings and the complex web of relationships surrounding the couple. New information emerged, suggesting that Vincent Hall wasn't the only person with a motive against Mark. It appeared that Mark had been involved in some questionable business practices, leading to conflicts with several powerful individuals. This revelation cast doubt on the initial theory that Lily and Vincent were solely responsible for Mark's condition. The appeal trial began, and the defense presented new evidence suggesting that Mark had enemies who may have framed Lily. They called upon a series of witnesses who testified to seeing suspicious activity around the Randall estate in the months leading up to Mark's hospitalization. Moreover, they produced documents indicating that Mark had been involved in a legal dispute with a competitor who had a history of using unscrupulous methods to eliminate business rivals. This new line of defense threw the case into turmoil, forcing the prosecution to re-examine the evidence. They conceded that there were indeed inconsistencies in the timeline and gaps in the surveillance footage that had not been addressed during the initial trial. This bolstered the defense's argument that Lily may have been a victim of a larger conspiracy, rather than the mastermind behind Mark's demise. Amid the appeal proceedings, an unexpected development occurred. Mark showed signs of minimal consciousness. Although he was still unable to communicate, there were moments when he responded to certain stimuli, giving his family and doctors a glimmer of hope. The court agreed to delay the appeal verdict in light of Mark's potential recovery, as his testimony could be crucial in unraveling the truth. As the investigation continued, Vincent Hall was brought back into the spotlight. He was subpoenaed to testify about his relationship with Lily and his knowledge of Mark's business dealings. Under intense questioning, Vincent admitted to having a romantic relationship with Lily, but he denied any involvement in a plot against Mark. However, his evasive answers and conflicting statements raised further suspicion. During a cross-examination, the prosecution revealed a significant piece of evidence: a recorded phone call between Vincent and another business associate, made shortly after Mark's hospitalization. In the call, Vincent expressed relief that the plan was proceeding as expected and mentioned that she would soon be free. Although Vincent insisted that the call referred to an unrelated business deal, it cast serious doubt on his claims of innocence. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Mark's family hired private investigators to look into Vincent's background and connections to other potential suspects. The investigators uncovered a hidden network of financial transactions linking Vincent to a shadowy offshore account that had been used to transfer large sums of money shortly before Mark's heart attack. The account was traced back to a shell company with ties to Mark's business competitor, the same person who had been involved in the legal dispute with him. The discovery of these financial connections suggested a broader conspiracy. It now appeared that Mark's business rival may have hired Vincent, and possibly even manipulated Lily, to get rid of Mark and gain control over his business empire. The defense seized on this new evidence, arguing that Lily had been a pawn in a much larger scheme orchestrated by Mark's competitors. As Mark's condition continued to improve incrementally, doctors were hopeful that he might eventually regain the ability to communicate. This possibility brought a sense of urgency to the proceedings, as everyone awaited his potential testimony. The defense hoped that Mark would corroborate their theory of a wider conspiracy, while the prosecution worried that his recovery could undermine their case against Lily. Eventually, Mark began to communicate through eye movements and slight gestures, allowing him to answer simple yes or no questions. With the help of specialists, he conveyed basic information about his last memories before the heart attack. Although his recollections were fragmented, he did indicate that he had felt unwell for some time leading up to the incident and mentioned a disagreement with a business partner, although he couldn't recall specific details about the nature of the dispute. The defense used Mark's statements to bolster their argument that there were other individuals with the motive and opportunity to harm him. However, the prosecution remained steadfast in their belief that Lily played a significant role, pointing to her preparations to flee the country and the fact that she had secretly maintained a relationship with Vincent. As the appeal trial drew to a close, the court faced a dilemma. There was compelling evidence suggesting that Lily was involved in some capacity, but the new findings cast reasonable doubt on whether she had acted alone or had been the primary orchestrator. The judge ultimately decided to reduce Lily's sentence, taking into account the possibility that she had been manipulated or coerced by others. However, she was still found guilty of conspiracy and accessory to attempted murder, resulting in a lengthy, though shortened, prison term. The case did not end with the appeal verdict. Mark's family continued to pursue justice, working with law enforcement to unravel the network of conspirators who had targeted him. They filed civil suits against Vincent Hall and Mark's business competitor, seeking compensation for the harm caused to Mark and his company. These legal battles dragged on for years, exposing further corruption and unethical practices in the business world. Mark's slow recovery allowed him to regain partial mobility and speech, though he would never fully recover. His family remained by his side, providing support and care. In the aftermath of the case, they focused on restoring his business reputation and rebuilding the company, which had suffered significant setbacks during the ordeal. As for Lily, her time in prison was marked by introspection and regret. She began to cooperate with authorities, providing valuable information about Vincent's activities and other figures involved in the conspiracy. Her cooperation eventually led to further arrests and convictions, including that of Mark's business rival, who was found guilty of orchestrating the scheme to eliminate Mark. The complex web of deceit, betrayal, and corporate greed slowly unraveled, revealing a story far more intricate than initially perceived. While Lily's actions could not be fully excused, it became clear that she had been a pawn in a dangerous game played by powerful men who viewed her as expendable. In the end, the case left a lasting impact on all involved. Mark, though severely impaired, became a symbol of resilience, while Lily's story served as a cautionary tale about the perils of ambition and moral compromise. The legal battles and investigations surrounding the case brought about reforms in corporate governance and inspired stricter regulations to prevent similar schemes in the future. For Mark's family, the years of legal turmoil and personal tragedy took a toll, but they emerged stronger, with a renewed commitment to each other. As they continued to navigate the aftermath, they found solace in the small victories, not just in the courtroom, but in every moment Mark showed signs of improvement and in every revelation that brought the truth closer to light.